video, we're going to be talking about histograms, and this is what a histogram is. So it has bars, they're all the same size, and they're all touching. Now, the main thing about histograms is that on the bottom of the graphs, we're going to have intervals. So let's look at some of the characteristics. So the bars must touch, and notice how all my bars are touching. My data is split up into intervals, and intervals are just like from 1 to 10, 2 to 20, and so forth. It doesn't mean just one specific value, it's multiple. Intervals are the same size, so if each interval represents 10 numbers, all of them need to represent 10. So we can't have 1 through 5 and then 6 through 20. They have to be the same. And then the bars show the frequency of each interval, meaning how many times we see it. And then the bars are the same width, meaning there's not going to be one thick one and then a very skinny one. They're all going to be the same. All right, so we're going to look at our first example. Down at the bottom here, I can tell now this is not a bar graph. Although it has bars, we know it's not a bar graph because of our intervals. Remember, intervals go from one number to the other. So number 1, read the histogram shown to answer the following questions. So we're looking at this histogram right here. Number 1, what statistical question does the histogram display data for? So we're looking to see what is the histogram displaying. What is it talking about? And to know what it's talking about, we always look at the title. So this is our title of our histogram, and it's talking about math quiz scores. So it's talking about the students' scores on the math test. Or on the math quiz, I'm sorry. Number 2, what are all the possible scores would be included in the 71 through 80 interval? So this is an interval, and it's talking about this one right here. And what are the possible scores that you could make if you make a 71 through 80? So that means this represents scores that are 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80. So all the students that made any of those scores fall under this category, this interval. All right, number 3, which interval has the highest frequency? What does this mean? So we're looking at the highest frequency. Remember, this is our frequency. So which one has the higher frequency, which would be this one right at 5. So the interval with the highest frequency would be 81 through 90. Oops. 81 through 90. Now, what does that mean? That means that most of the students' scores range from most of the students' scores range from 81 to 90. Number 4, which interval has the lowest frequency, and what does this mean? So now we're looking at the lowest. So which interval on the bottom has the lowest frequency? Now be careful with this one. Although this one has 1, this interval doesn't have none. And so this one would have the lowest. So the interval 61 through 70 would be the lowest. And that means no students scored between 61 through 70. Our next problem, number 5. How many students took the math quiz? So in order to find out how many students took the math quiz, we need to look at our scores. Well, here, the frequency of students that made a 51 through 60 was 1. No students made 61 through 70. 3 students made a 71 through 80. 5 students made an 81 through 90. And 4 students made a 91 through 100. So now to figure out how many students took the quiz, we need to total up all of our scores. So that means we would have 1 plus 0 plus 3 plus 5 and plus 4. And then we can do this in our head. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 plus 4 is 13. So 13 students took the quiz. The next one, how many students scored higher than 80? So if we're talking about higher than 80, is that going to include 80? No, because 80 is not higher than 80. So that means we have to look at from 81 all the way to 900. Well, 5 people score from 81 to 90, and then 91 to 100, 4 people. So that means we're going to have to add 5 plus 4, which is 9 students scoring higher than 80. And then how many students scored a 100? Can we tell how many students scored a 100? We know 4 students scored between 91 through 100, but we cannot tell how many scored a 100. So we can write, we cannot tell by this information. We only know four students scored between 91 through 100.